Hi, I'm Sam here at Rick Jones Pianos with a Yamaha 48-inch upright built in Indonesia in 2004. It's very similar to U1, but it's not quite the same exact piano. They call it a U10. They added a 0 to U1. So far as I understand, the internal design of this piano is very similar to a Yamaha U1 that would have been made in Japan at that same time in the 2000s. And to my ears, it certainly has that sound. In my opinion, newer Yamaha U1s definitely have a stronger sounding bass than the older ones, and you could tell that there. Definitely bolder and deeper sounding. And it's one of the improvements they made over the years, in my opinion. What makes this piano different is notably its case. It's not the traditional polished ebony, or rather it's not the most common polished ebony cabinet that you normally see in Yamaha U1s. This has, you could say, a more traditional old world look to it. This has a mahogany case, and incidentally, with a slow motion fall board mechanism built in from the factory, built into these brass metal brackets here. And it will be more visible in the pictures than it is here, but the legs on this piano are ornamental. They're sort of lion style, pseudo-Victorian style legs. So it's more of a decorative style upright piano, but on the inside it's otherwise very similar to a Yamaha U1. And one more thing I like about the cabinet, which is, it puzzles me why makers didn't do this sooner, is this extra long music desk. These upright pianos that have this, normal style fall board, the vast majority of them, which we get, have a smaller music desk with only 2 hinges, and you can't really fit much sheet music on it. This is considerably longer, at least 50% longer, and there is a additional hinge in the middle that can really better support the thick spine of a big sheet music book. For example, what do I have at home? A book of Beethoven's 32 piano sonatas. That's pretty heavy. This will better support that than the normal 2-hinge music desk where the middle is unsupported. So really nice little cabinet feature that I always like to point out on these newer Yamahas, which again, I don't know why they didn't do that earlier, but better late than never. Here it is. This piano, I think, has a mellow sound, which Yamaha is not known for, but all pianos turn out differently, and when you're browsing our used inventory, we ask you to judge every piano individually. They just turn out differently over time. Although in my opinion, newer Yamahas are more likely to have that mellow sound, especially the uprights, sort of fit into a smaller room to make it sound better. So that's what this piano has, a mellow sound, still with the clarity of tone that Yamaha is always known for, but just a mellower version of it. So I'll call it a 4 on a scale from 1 to 10. The touch, I think, is just a little bit firm, not excessively so. I'll call it a 6 on a scale from 1 to 10, from light to firm. Somewhat more than the average amount of resistance in the keys, so it would better prepare a student who has to be able to play on the grand piano at a piano lesson in the teacher's studio. And I know there's many teachers out there who specifically request their students or the students' families to acquire a piano that has at least a slightly firm touch. There's few things more horrifying for a student than practicing on a piano at home that doesn't sufficiently prepare you for the piano that you have to play in front of the teacher. And that would be the case on an upright piano with a light touch, not the case here. So 4 and 6 for 10 in touch. And then finally, the middle pedal does operate the practice mute. It operates as normal. You press it down, move it to the left, it holds itself in place for you, and it will put a strip of felt in between the hammers and the strings. So you can practice very late at night or at any time of day if you are in an apartment or row home. So please stop by. You can play this along with anything else in our inventory. But if you can't make it, you can always give us a phone call or send us an email if you have any questions. Thanks.